The tiny grains of rice from Vietnam are quietly making their way into the meals of millions of people around the world, becoming a lifeline for distant lands where hunger and instability are ever-present threats. Not through guns or wars, but through bountiful harvests and the resilience of Vietnamese seeds, the S-shaped country has gained global recognition, a recognition rooted in the power of food security, perseverance, and the philosophy of sharing. Today, Vietnamese rice has become a symbol of hope. In Mozambique, where the harsh coastal climate once left farmers powerless, Vietnam's OM 5451 rice variety has worked a miracle. Through trials, rice yields increased threefold compared to local varieties, enough for the Mozambican Minister of Agriculture to order more than 500 tons of seeds for large-scale planting. In Cuba, the government has signed a memorandum of understanding to transfer the ST24 rice variety, known as the world's best-tasting rice, along with advanced cultivation techniques. ST24 can grow on saline and drought-prone land, a rare advantage, especially valuable in the context of increasingly severe climate change. Not only Africa or Cuba, Vietnamese agriculture has also reached Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, Madagascar, Senegal, and Iraq. These countries not only buy seeds, but also come to Vietnam to learn the entire knowledge ecosystem, from planting methods, care, pest control, to harvesting and preservation. Vietnam does not simply export rice, but also exports a survival solution, transforming from rice for Vietnamese people to rice for the world, as affirmed by a researcher from the International Rice Research Institute, IRI. Behind every grain of rice are the tireless years of Vietnamese scientists. The ST25 rice variety, a source of pride for the Vietnamese people, sought after in both Asia and Africa, is the result of more than 20 years of breeding and rigorous selection through hundreds of growing seasons, overcoming countless failures. Der Ho Quang Qua, known as the father of ST24 and ST25, once said, "Our goal is not the award, but to help farmers develop and help the poor have food to eat." It is this dedication that has made the success of Vietnamese rice varieties brilliant. The latest report from the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, ranked Vietnam among the top 5 countries for high-yield rice varieties, adaptability, and economic efficiency. Representatives from many countries, from the Philippines to India and Pakistan, have contacted Vietnam's breeding centers to gain a deeper understanding of the genetic structure of these rice varieties. In some places, such as the Philippines, there was a proposal to import the ST24 variety to cultivate in areas previously only suitable for corn and cassava, but after switching to Vietnamese rice, yields increased significantly. Notably, a major agricultural corporation in Thailand once offered to buy exclusive rights to the ST25 variety at 30 times the normal price, with the condition that Vietnam would be prohibited from exporting it to a third country. However, the Vietnamese research team declined, prioritizing national interests and the right of countries in difficulty to access this valuable seed resource. Laos is another testament to the influence of Vietnamese rice varieties. The Minister of Agriculture of Laos expressed deep gratitude, emphasizing that more than 70% of Laos's hybrid rice area has been replaced with Vietnamese varieties within just 3 years, helping to reduce rice imports and stabilize food security. Japan was also impressed, with a professor from the University of Tokyo calling ST25 a biological masterpiece of the tropical region, and acknowledging Japan's difficulty in breeding rice that is both high-yielding and fragrant like this. In African newspapers, ST25 was praised as desert-surviving rice due to its ability to grow with minimal water. That success did not come from modern laboratories, but from the diligence, carefulness, and dedication of Vietnamese scientists. Every grain of rice was meticulously monitored. Every breeze, every change in soil salinity was recorded, all aimed at a single goal: to help farmers live better and help the community escape poverty. Vietnam does not keep secrets to itself. Instead, it chooses to share knowledge. A good seed, like the philosophy of the Vietnamese people, not only nourishes one person or one family, but can also nurture an entire community, even a whole nation. That is why Vietnam actively transfers technology, sends experts, and provides practical training to farmers in countries that need help, rather than selling exclusively or keeping secrets. Not only stopping at developing rice varieties, Vietnam also leads in the integrated agricultural model 3-in-1, growing rice, raising fish, and planting vegetables. This model, recognized by the United Nations as the most sustainable agricultural ecosystem in developing countries, has brought outstanding results. In Angola, more than 50 households applying this model have increased rice yields by 180%, reduced input costs by nearly 70%, and significantly improved nutritional status. The 3-in-1 model originated from Vietnam's difficult wartime years when people had to make use of every inch of land and every water source for production. Rice provides grains, fish eat pests, and fish waste along with straw becomes fertilizer for the soil, a closed-loop system that is both efficient and sustainable. This sustainable development has been internationally recognized. The United Nations, through FAO and UNEP, praises Vietnam as a model of sustainable agricultural development, contributing to global food security through indigenous knowledge and the ability to restore harmony between humans and nature. Vietnam's spirit of sharing is clearly demonstrated by its willingness to send volunteer experts, provide free seeds to poor regions, and offer practical training to local farmers. Vietnam today is not only a major rice exporting country, but also a center for humanitarian agriculture. While other countries compete for resources or intellectual property, Vietnam chooses to sow the seeds of life, plant hope, and share knowledge. The proposal to establish the Vietnam International Rice Institute in Africa, initiated by Mozambique, Ghana, and Tanzania, is proof of Vietnam's position and leadership role, not only researching, breeding, and training, but also building a multilateral cooperation network to fundamentally address issues of food security and climate. Quietly but persistently, Vietnam has sent more than 300 agricultural experts to many countries, exported over 7,200 tons of selected rice seeds, and helped 14 countries build water-saving cultivation models, all without fanfare or loud promotion. Rice has become a new diplomatic tool, a bridge for peace and development, instead of traditional means such as financial aid or military intervention. Vietnam's vision goes beyond rice varieties or technology transfer contracts. It is about building a sustainable value chain for the world's poor, from seeds, land, farming models to processing, education, and consumer culture. The path Vietnam has chosen, planting rice, sharing seeds, guiding cultivation, and living in harmony with the land, has transformed the country from a poor nation into a humanitarian agricultural hub, making a quiet but significant contribution to solving the global food crisis. And finally, what Vietnam is doing is not just agriculture, but also a message about the identity, stature, and resilience of a people who once endured poverty and hunger and are now reshaping global influence through their people, labor, and an endless spirit of sharing.